Hello and welcome! This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Hearts of Iron 4, continuing on with my Make Love Not War series. And we are days away from befriending Poland and hopefully adding them into our faction. So let's start time up here. And the main way we'd be able to add them into our faction is... Oh, wait. Oh, they're already in a faction? Oh, they are. At some point, I missed it. Apparently, they did a focus. Maybe it was the one that involved the war with Lithuania. But I could have swore there wasn't this faction here before. But actually, this befriend thing is not going to work now because they're in a faction. I was paying so much attention to what we needed to get them in the faction, I didn't notice that they were already in one. Well, that's unfortunate. But we still have an opportunity here because the Soviet Union may do an event to consume some of these countries that are in this faction, because that is historically, I believe, what happened. I don't know if the Soviets actually have a focus branch that they would do. Now, we don't have them doing historical things, so they might not do it. And obviously, that's the reason why Poland is its own faction anyway, because they're going down a different course of action. But somewhere in here... Yeah, maybe Baltic. Oh, claims on in Baltic here. Or Baltic security, maybe. Either of these might lead to that course of action. So, if the Soviets go down this branch, I'm actually surprised. I can see a bunch of their focuses and what they've done. It's quite possible that that focus will... I mean, the faction will go away if they lose their other members, kind of like what happened when I was doing my France playthrough. But that's unfortunate. I hadn't really counted on that. That's something I missed, that faction was formed. So it looks like that is not something we can do, even though they would accept it. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that works here in a second. But we just finished a tech... As far as industry goes, not really anything I need to work on right at the moment here. Engineering, not really anything I'd like to work on necessarily at the moment. I mean, something I probably want to do in the future. There's some things I probably want to do in the future, I mean. Air is good, although I could always do more doctrines. Naval, we have a couple things to work on, but I'm probably going to work on naval focuses anyway. Land doctrine I could work on. Artillery we're already working on. Tanks we're good. We do have the support companies or battalions, though. And also upgrading paratroopers is something that we could do. So I think we start with the support companies. We'll start with engineering. Just work our way down. So I missed out on that, and that is kind of a mistake on my end, but... we'll allow, obviously, the focus to go through because there's nothing we can do about it. We already chose it. Well, that would have been a very important thing to get done, to have them under our faction. So just to confirm here. Yeah, see, we have a green check mark because they would accept it. Because we now have that 85-point bonus. But they won't do it because they're already in a faction. So that's unfortunate. Now, we can do a non-aggression pact, though. Which might be useful. But for now, I think I'm just going to sit on that and just see if that we can dissolve that faction maybe through diplomacy. But it looks like that's probably not likely to happen anytime soon. And as a result, we might want to stop improving fascist support over here. I think I already have it going on in all of the countries that matter for our other friendship. All right, now let's just make sure I'm not missing something here and that these other countries are not in a faction. Now, they shouldn't have their own focus tree, so they shouldn't be able to create a faction on their own. At least I don't think they can. I could confirm that here. Oh, well, this is a mess. I don't know if I'd really be able to confirm that 100%. But maybe somewhere in here they could create their own faction, but I'm going to assume that they can't, and it's unlikely that they'll be able to. So, All right, so we missed out in Poland. That's unfortunate because I think adding them in would have been a significant gain, as they do have a decent amount of territory. But we'll just not worry about it for now, and instead I'm going to focus, or change my focus, to go towards the Scandinavian countries. So we'll go down this naval branch here, which eventually will go to befriend Denmark, and then we can go to the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden. Now, the Netherlands might join the Allies. I'm not 100% on that. I would assume not, though, because they're going to have some of the same penalties that they would have if we try to get them into our faction. So let's go down this branch. Now, there are actions that the UK can do to prevent me from doing this, as I am adding in support or boosting support of my party in these countries. I believe that there is a course of action, and it looks like I can see actually what focuses the UK have done. I wonder if that's the decryption that I have done. But they can go down a course of action somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it is. Where they can... Oh, yeah, Scandinavian intervention over here. So if fascist support gets high enough in these countries, which it has, as you can see the check mark there, they can do this focus. And they, as a matter of fact, they can do it right now if they wanted to. And I'm not exactly sure what all this event would do, but it allows them to do a lot of things here with Swedish intervention, for instance, which again, if they got enough, for instance, here in Denmark, there's enough fascist support, they could do this, which gains the puppet war goal against Denmark. So they can act against me if they wanted to, because I am going this route, and we'll just have to see how that goes. In any case, let's just continue on here. I do have a shortage of oil here, but I am building a new refinery that should take care of that oil shortage, so we'll be fine when that occurs. So yeah, I'm a little bummed out, but, you know, other things have gone well. We managed to take Danzig from Poland without a war, so that's good. We have gotten Austria and the Czech territory into our country, so that's good as well. I just would have liked to have added Poland into our faction, which is something, unfortunately, that didn't happen because of the more random nature of the way that the AI is going to act. And that's one of the reasons why I chose that, is I didn't want that predictability and just be able to have a free hand to do whatever I wanted. I did want variants to act against me here. All right, let's see how the Spanish Civil War is going. It's going pretty well. Now, I did already check with Spain and in their invite to faction, and they have a penalty because they're in a civil war. They don't have the penalty of not being in a war because they're in a war, but they have an even bigger penalty because they're in a civil war, which means that we're not going to be able to add them into our faction at the moment. And there is no focus that gives us that plus 85 with Spain, so the likelihood that we'd get them into our faction without already being at war is pretty low. And most of these other countries that I'm actually supporting fascism in, it's going to be pretty much that case as well. For instance, Hungary over here, I can't get them into our faction because they have this big penalty here that neither of us are at war. Now, if they go into a war of their own, we could add them into our faction, but at the moment, we can't. So it might come a time where I stop supporting a fascism in a particular country. And I'm actually tempted to do it here and then maybe add fascism to another country. Are we boosting? Yeah, we're already boosting in the Netherlands, so I don't know where I would boost fascism anywhere else, though, honestly. Maybe in Greece, maybe in Turkey. But Turkey's going to have the same issues of getting them into a faction. Unless we're at war, that's not likely to happen, or unless we go to war or get that focus that is the annex focus on the Soviet Union, Turkey's unlikely to join us. So for now, I'm just going to keep the fascist support in Latvia, but eventually, if they get a majority of fascism in their country, I'll probably just pull out. Now, Poland will continue to tick in fascist direction now that I have that befriend Poland thing, so that's good. Oh, research, I forgot. Okay, so we were working on the support battalion, so I'm just going to go down to recon. I'm not going to do maintenance, though, because that would get rid of one of my 50% research bonuses that I don't want to get rid of. Obviously, I'd prefer to use it on a tank, so I might actually research a tank ahead of time. We'll have to see. And speaking of tanks, we also have new infantry equipment, which I'm going to have to change my production. And I did discuss that once I change this production, I think I was going to stop lend-leasing arms to Spain because I would stop producing what I was lend-leasing them in the first place. Although I could switch it up and then re-lend-lease them supplies here. But we're going to switch this. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. I am going to be short on steel here by a significant margin after this switch. But the other thing I wanted to see is medium tanks where we're at. So it says we're filled. Let's see in recruitment here. All right, it says for upgrades, though, mostly infantry equipment. So I think at this moment I can change the tanks to be more medium tanks rather than light tanks. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and do the research slot. So as I said, I do not want to do maintenance companies right now. So instead, I could do either doctrines or I could finish paratroopers here. I think do paratroopers because it's a nice quick research. And then I can do, after another tech gets done, I can do something like research the next tank in line. Like, for instance, I could research Panzer IVs or the Leopard tanks. Wow, either one of those would be pretty quick. So that might be the next thing I focus on, and then we upgrade what tanks we're producing. But I do want to come in here, and with my tank division... Alright, right now... I have... Wow, I thought I already had switched this. Maybe I meant to, but then forgot. So I want to make that a medium tank. And... do we add a tank, maybe? I'm going to add a medium tank as well. So we have more overall tanks here to even out with the infantry here. So we're making our tank divisions a little bit bigger as a unit. And once that's the case, let me see under production what it says for medium tanks. So now we need 1,000 because of those changes I made. Also, we need more steel, so I'm going to go ahead and trade for that. I'm not worried about the oil because we're working on that. And that would actually be probably done soon, I would imagine. Yeah, in 12 days. So we're working on that. I'm almost done with the first level of radar. Once we get that done, we'll start working on the AA guns, and then maybe I'll go back and work on radar again, and maybe get some more refineries. But for now, I need to work on the steel. So steel, we're already trading with Hungary, and we could continue that trade. Alternatively, we could trade with a country we're not trading with currently, like, for instance, Yugoslavia here has a decent amount of steel. We could trade with the Swiss. We could trade with Norway. You know, I would have thought Sweden would have had a decent amount, but doesn't appear to be the case. Well, considering how much steel we have, I figure trade with a country like Yugoslavia that has some to spare. So we'll go ahead and do that and say... Oh, I'm under aluminum. That's the problem. Steel! I was wondering why Sweden didn't have as much as... Okay, so we have that set up. I want to improve relations with Sweden and trade with them, although I think I'm already trading with them, honestly. But I think, yeah, we're going to trade some steel with Sweden here. Take care of that issue. Now we just have oil shortages. And according to this, we're still lend-leasing them, so I guess we'll just continue that. And it looks like the Spanish are actually winning the Civil War, so that's good. Go over to Japan here. So they're definitely winning. Oh, they were winning before, but looks like they're really driving in here. Now, they're moving through the desert territory here, which is pretty easy to move through. These mountain range ranges here, though, is going to be pretty hard to push through, and I'm not sure. Again, they might capitulate, though, once this city and this city falls, because I don't really see any major cities over here. I mean, maybe their capital will just shift to one of these, but... or maybe even all the way over to here. I guess it depends on what their national unity is. Now, the communists look like they're about to fall, and they only have really one city, so once this falls, I'm pretty sure they're going to capitulate, which will probably drive world tension up. Now, I do have a focus where I can work on Japan. Now, I didn't take it at the moment because I wasn't sure, but for instance, I can befriend Japan, but that really doesn't do anything for us other than giving us an opinion bonus. It doesn't work like the other befriend focuses, so we wouldn't be able to get them into our faction. But the world tension is dropping overall over time. And once the Spanish Civil War gets won, I believe world tension will go up as well. So we might have a couple things cause world tension to go up here that's outside of our control. But that is definitely a bummer that we can't get Poland into our faction. I was looking forward to that. But it is what it is, and hopefully we can push out in other areas. But that focus was one of the main ways we could have added a major nation into our faction without being at war. But who knows? Maybe our actions over in the Scandinavian countries will force British intervention, and then we might drag into a war that way. And then we might be able to add some of these guys to our factions that are, fascist-leaning more easily. Alright, so I have some free dockyards. And I'm going to assume that's because we finished off the cruisers that we were working on. So I'm going to build a new series of ships. And I don't believe we have any level 2 heavy cruisers or level 2 heavy battleships. As a matter of fact, I don't know if we have any battleships. So go ahead and we'll build this. And I'm going to go ahead and also changes so that it only produces 2, and then we'll give it all of the remaining dockyards, and then we'll get some more here once the focus is done, because this is navally focused. Alright. Oh, and before I forget, I would like to set the location, and we'll put these guys in the same location as the rest of our fleet for now. Well, outside of the submarine fleet that we have here, which I am going to merge up. Okay, naval rearmament is done. And now we need more steel as well because of that trade. I mean, because of the battleship. I'm going to put one here. You know what, we'll just even these out. And that might even increase, yeah, pretty dramatically how much resources we need. And now it looks like I'm going to actually have to trade for oil as well. So let's bring up the trade screen. First starting with steel. I think I'm just going to increase how much steel we get from Sweden. And then oil-wise, we're trading with the Soviet Union. We could trade with Venezuela, which is a fascist nation, which would improve relations with them. Yeah, why don't we do that? I only want 1, though. I know 2 would actually meet our demands, but we're going to be building a refinery. Matter of fact, we already should have, so actually I am incorrect with that assessment. But you know what? I'm still only going to do 1 factory for 8 resources. And then I'm going to go into the construction and build yet another refinery here. And these should be the ones that we already have. Now, I could focus them in one state, but I kind of like the idea of diversifying where these are. I'm going to put this one right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that to the top. So we'll work on that first, and that should be done by November. Good. All right, now focuses. We're going to do naval effort next. So all this did was give us dockyards. This is going to give us actual research for different ships, and also give us some more dockyards as well as some Navy experience. And then we're going to go down Plan Z here, and then we're going to go down this path. So naval effort first. Okay. Now, if I had known that these guys were already in a faction and the befriend thing wouldn't have done anything for us, I probably would have shifted things and started working on this focus branch earlier than I did. But again, I didn't realize that they were already in a faction, so that's in hindsight. But if I was aware of that, that's what I would have done differently. I also do realize that I do have a couple battleships over here, so my assessment that we did not have any battleships was incorrect, but we didn't have any battleships over here, so we will be producing that. And then I might start building cruisers over here, because this fleet is completely without them. On the other hand, this fleet over here, let's see, let's deselect these guys. You know, alright, we'll get into that in a second. But the People's Republic of China has capitulated. We kind of saw that coming. And I don't see any difference in world tension. Yeah. The last thing to affect world tension was the Soviet Union. Maybe we need to wait for this to tick. Alright, so I don't want you to be part of that. I actually prefer to get rid of the submarines out of this group. So hold on. Let's select these guys. And let's see if we can do this. Okay, there. That's transferred. Then we do this. Then we merge. Okay, with that done, we've got 3 heavy cruisers, 10 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers. So with that being the case, we're going to have a couple battleships. I probably need to build more destroyers, honestly. So why don't we start that project? And I'm going to build the highest level destroyer we have, which is this one. And we'll cut back production here to these levels, and then there we go. We're going to have another couple dockyards once that one focus is done. And where do we want these guys to pop out? We want them to pop out over here. And how many do we want? You know what? I'm just going to have them go infinitely. And we might reroute them over here once this fleet is getting more complete. And then I'd like to work on cruisers maybe over there once the battleships are done. Oh, we had a bunch of infantry pop out. I almost kind of wonder if we want to cut back on some of our recruitment. You know, honestly, we're not running low on manpower, so I don't see a reason to do that. Alright, so what units do we need to have more men? We need the green and blue army having more men. Are there any motorized divisions in the blue army? It doesn't look like it, so I'm going to reroute one of these strategically. And of course, we're going to add it to the army here in a second. But I'm going to put it right there. And then you can go ahead and join the blue army. Oh wait, that's the wrong army. Join this blue army. And you know what? I'll have the other guy do the same thing. So join the blue army. It's actually confusing having 2 blue armies. I keep accidentally clicking on the wrong one. You can go there as well. So we have some motorized units over here. And then you have room for 2 more divisions. So we'll grab these guys. We'll add you guys in there. And we'll reinforce. We've got a couple spots here. So I'm going to strategically redeploy you to here, and then I'll actually redeploy you later. Another thing that's going on that I noticed is training. Let's take a look here. We have no green units, so let's stop the training. And over here, we have... Oh, you know what? I think I was doing this just to get these guys to be at the highest levels of preparedness or whatever. But I also want to take a look at some of my other armies, because I have been adding things into my armored divisions. Maybe that would have knocked them down into green, but I don't see any green units there. Okay. So now that we have the blue army situated, we need to move things along for the green army. And I do not see many tank units down here more. So, oh, here's one. I'll add a tank unit here. So, green army, strategic redeploy, and you can pop over there. Probably most of our tanks and motorized divisions will be focused up in the green army in the future, because this has a lot more, you know, open, flat terrain where tanks can really do their stuff. But hopefully the Netherlands will be joining our faction. Okay, so we have a treaty going on. Japan took 27 states, so world tension just skyrocketed. China was annexed. People's Republic of China was annexed, and they seized some equipment. China has capitulated. The Chinese government has gone into exile, and their main forces have capitulated to Japan, who is now in control of their home area. The struggles in China are only a small part of the conflict. The war between Japan and what remains of the Chinese United Front continues elsewhere. All right, so that is not great for me, because that just made world tension skyrocket. As a matter of fact, we can see here, that was worth 60%, and then we have the capitulation, which was worth another 15%. So pretty much now, the United States and Britain can do whatever they want as far as focuses go. And this will probably take forever to cook off. Now, it's not us that did it. It was Japan. So more than likely, any aggression that happens will be against Japan, not us. But that is not great. You can invite to faction. All right, well, let's see what this is telling me. So Hungary is going to be willing. Let's see why. It's just because of the world tension is so high. So let's invite them to our faction. Send. So this does have some opportunities in and of itself. Now, some of these guys are not yet fascists, so they're not willing. For instance, this guy's non-aligned, which gives him a 50-point penalty. And they're also feeling threatened by us, so that's not going to happen. Over here, different ideology, big penalty. And their opinion of us is somewhat low. And they have a neutral foreign policy. Huh. Alright, so that's not likely to happen. What about Bulgaria? Okay, so mostly they're just non-aligned. So once we can push them fascist. So any other countries that we can push fascist will actually work in our favor. But right now, that is a lot of world tension. Out of curiosity, would non-aggression pact affect tension, world tension? Not sure. But in any case, Japan is a big powerhouse now. But we managed to get Hungary into our faction. Did that affect world tension? Yes, it did. Interesting. But we can at least take advantage of the world tension to do things like that. And we're going to have to keep on top of that and just keep an eye on it. And see what we can take advantage of. Another thing I'd like to take a look at. A construction effort. Still going to happen in November. Alright, well, let's keep an eye on this world tension. Now, looks like Spanish Civil War is continuing. There's just 2 provinces left. We have to keep in mind, though, that the Soviet Union has sent troops. And now, Great Britain and the UK, they can pretty much send volunteers wherever they'd like with how high the world tension is. So that can be problematic. But as long as we're not at war, we don't have to worry about that. But that may cause us the Spanish Civil War to go on forever. All right, we have more air units that don't... no. I just wanted to see here. Okay, so available plane and reserves. So we've got post-air support, And we have a fair number of fighters. I believe there was some things I wanted to set up and then kind of held off. Looks like I've already set up there. We could set up in the Danzig territory that we now have, which might be a good idea. So let's grab the fighters. Well, first let's do these guys. So, and then we'll make this 150. Okay. And then we'll add the fighters. I want to make them, let's say 200. Okay. And then the airfield near Berlin, I'm actually going to bring this up to 300 fighters. So the fighters have somewhere to go. All right, well, let's continue. Now, that's mostly a defensive air wing that we've set up there. So they're going to be covering parts of Germany so that we don't get bombed. Also, how is our heavy fighter production going? I should be producing some. We've got 123, so we could set that up. I might put that in Berlin, the Berlin air port here as well, because they're good at knocking down bombers. Let me just take a look at production and how that is going. So, yeah, we have a decent number working on the heavy fighters, so we might as well set that up as well. So, we're going to set up a new air wing, and it's going to be these heavy fighters. And you know what? I'm just going to give them all the equipment, and then we're going to change this number, and I'll put it at 150, let's say. There we go. And then we might add some more heavy fighter groups and defensive air bases as well. Like maybe one over here to cover some of this area. I mean, we have a lot of air territories. We have Eastern Germany, we have Northwest Germany, we have Western Germany, we have the Alpine region and the Czechoslovakian region that we're all going to have to cover with air power. So definitely it's eventually going to be a need. In any case, I think this is a good point to put a cut in the video, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.